Okay, the 5 myths of change. Myth number 3, change is organizational. Okay, well here's the question I get then. How can it not be organizational? What good is individual change when we need to change the organization? Okay, it's a great question. Here's the issue. Organizations are the emperor's new clothes of our life. You know the story. It's an old, I think, a Danish folktale about the emperor who loves new clothes and looking fancy and being great. And one day these 2 charlatans come in and say they can make him the most amazing clothes. And they start to work, and they're working with nothing. And they say to people, well, these clothes are so amazing that, you know, only those who appreciate true beauty and art can see them. Of course, nobody wants to be a part of not seeing true beauty in art, and so everyone goes along and oohs and ahs, and they put the emperor's new clothes on, which basically is nothing, and he's parading down the street in his new clothes naked, and everyone says, ooh, oh, amazing, look at that, it's wonderful, until some child said, but mommy, he's naked. And at that moment, the illusion shatters. Well, organizations are the same way in that we pretend they exist. But they don't. They exist on paper. They exist as buildings. But all they are is the collection of individuals within them. Now, it's easier for policy and for legal reasons, for all sorts of reasons, to refer to the collective entity. That makes sense. But then we start trying to make change happen with that collective entity, and it doesn't exist. We have to start with the individuals. Now, granted, change happens in a group, but it happens person by person within the group. The group of the organization, the societal pressures, if you will, of that group can influence the change. But it's not what drives the change. What drives the change is individuals starting to behave and then believe differently. And we'll talk more about that in a later section. But it starts with them starting to behave and believe differently as individuals. When you get organizational change, that's when you hit a critical mass of those individuals seeing the world differently and behaving differently because of that, or vice versa, as we'll talk about. So it's that critical mass that then looks like organizational change. And so we put together all these programs which are designed to help the company change. But really, those programs have to be something that happens with each individual. And it has to start, as we've talked about earlier, with the individuals they work with and for changing themselves. So change is not organizational. Change can happen in an organization, person by person.